Welcome to the Shetland Times podcast. I'm your host, Thor Holt, and before we meet today's guest, please remember we'd love to get your suggestions for who you'd like to hear on the show. Just go to shetlandtimes.co.uk or the Facebook page and let us know. Today's guest, what can I say? He tells me he's best known for getting stuffed. That was in a BAFTA award-winning film, The Taxidermist. He's the second of four offspring to the Reverend Magnus and Eunice Williamson. He was born in the Manse on Eday in Orkney, but grew up in Shetland. And he says island life was extremely agreeable and particularly free, especially the air, which, as us Shetlanders know, often arrives at 100 miles per hour. He now works with theatre companies in Edinburgh, and 3 of his screen works have attracted BAFTA award nominations with, as I say, 1 winner. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Robert Williamson.
Do you have honey in your coffee?
What, is that some kind of chat-up line, Robert? What
No.
do you mean?
You could think of it thus if you wish, but I was certainly blissfully unaware of any attempt to chat up or anything like that.
Right, so honey in coffee. What's the reasoning for that rather than sugar?
It's a different complement of tea, and it doesn't work in all coffees. If it's a fine like ground coffee, haven't done your excellent ploy of, but can I get a discount? Because I didn't go to that place because I came here. Can I get a discount? I love it. It's fantastic.
Oh, this was so that you're referring to my TEDx talk.
Yes, I am.
Coffee shop confidence, and you told me that you had a theory about confidence. What was that?
Yes,
theory?
I did.
Go on in.
Well, wait, are we on? Are you just kind of picking up
recording.
whatever and then you'll cut it as you see fit?
Correct, but we're recording, so we're going to get all these spoon tinkles as you stir your honey into your coffee. It's very authentic and giving us a real atmosphere of the actor in his garret. It was loud enough, Robert. We already had it. You're hamming it up now.
I don't ham me, although I have been known to be extreme.
Good man. This is going to be a fun interview then. What's the
Possibly.
We'll stick the 18 rating on it after all. What's your theory on confidence then?
It's the biggest con. It's the greatest con in the world. It's the greatest con in the history of humankind.
Go on. That's a good opening line.
Because I'm influenced by my work to come to this conclusion to a certain extent. Because for me, if you go into a circumstance or a situation and you act as if you're completely confident, and I'm not talking about being an actor, although it makes it slightly differently easy, if you like, if you are an actor. If you appear as a completely confident individual with an objective, if you like, then people go, "Oh, okay, right, no problem. This guy knows exactly what's going on, and I'm going to do what's required." You know, I don't know if you've seen these people with donning but high vis vests and going out and directing traffic. It's a load of crap, you know. But you go right, and that's one for me as well. If you want to direct traffic, you stand in front of it. Because people mostly by nature, at least in this country, will go, "Oops, I don't want to be involved in a road accident, so I'm going to brake and I'm going to obey the person who's standing in front of me with their hand up."
That works in Edinburgh or Lerwick, but it doesn't work in Delhi. So I'm just here to warn anyone who wants to go there and try that trick with the high-vis vest directing
That's
traffic.
why I'm saying I'm not convinced it would work in every single country, you know, and I haven't tried it. But it comes from going across Yell Sound on the inter-island ferries, you know, because the guys who took you onto the ferry, if you're driving up towards a wall and you don't know where to stop, could you stand so that you can see where the wall is in relation to my bumper, and then if I'm going to hit it, will you tell me to stop? And the ferry guys go, come on, forward, stop. And did I hit the wall? No, because somebody was standing there looking at you. I want that in Edinburgh. I want somebody standing on the street corners going, move forward so that the bus can get through. Move an inch. I know you think an inch is 3 inches, depending on whether you're a man or a woman. I know how big you think that space is.
I'm going to have to edit that bit out,
Robert.
So what's this about you being best known for getting stuffed? I tweeted that, by the way, when I was having a look at your showreel before, which I would recommend any listener to the Shetland Times podcast to do, to look up Robert Williamson, actor, and go look at his showreel because it's brilliant. But don't let your kids hear it because there might be a couple of rude words. So yeah,
and where can you find that showreel?
YouTube.
Yeah, just about anywhere. Or on my Twitter account, via my Twitter account.
But definitely YouTube. So, well, what is your Twitter account while we're on that?
It's a difficult name because it's Robert G. Wilson. So it's Wilsn. Now, the reason for that is that Williamson is such a long handle that Twitter can't deal with, Robert Williamson or Robert. There's too many characters. Mm-hmm. Because you need 15 characters for your Twitter handle. So it's Robert G. Wilsn.
Okay, perfect. So,
however, if you search Robert Williamson actor in Twitter, I should come up.
You do. So what's this about you being best known for getting stuffed? We might return to the confidence topic because it reminded me of something. Stanislavski, as in the famous Stanislavski in the acting world. The idea of acting as if. Act as if. But anyway, we can always park that one. Not everyone listening to the show will be interested in that, just because I happen to be. So yeah, what's this about you being best known for getting stuffed, Robert?
The film that refers to is called The Taxidermist. It was a graduation film from the Digital Film and Television course at RSAND, as it was then, now RCS, Royal Conservatoire Scotland. And I had auditioned for 3 different roles in it and was unsuccessful in the other 2, but did get the job as father in The Taxidermist. The Taxidermist is a story about a young father and son taxidermy company. The father accidentally up and dies one day, so the son stuffs him to keep him around a bit longer. And I won't tell you everything that happens, and so I got stuffed.
Yeah, it's brilliant. The Taxidermist. I actually watched it in preparation for this conversation, and I have to admit, when it started, I was thinking, "Oh, I don't know if I'm going to like this," and then by the end, I was totally gripped and totally into it. So I would recommend that people go watch The Taxidermist. Again, that's something you can find by going into ye olde YouTube. You guys probably don't make revenue from that, do you? How does an actor survive these days, Robert? What's the drill? Do you have to wait tables as well or something? Or what do you guys do to make ends meet in between your roles, movie roles and things? Or how does it all work?
My other job is I play music or I make films. Mm-hmm. So I'm very lucky, I think, to have that capacity in a sense. But what is it they say about luck? You make your own luck. I've always been interested in the whole gamut of filmmaking since a very early age. I think like 8-9-year-old watching John Noakes on Blue Peter having a conversation with himself on a bench and going, what? How did it? What? How? Oh man, that's amazing. That's totally amazing. Wow. And I think that, I don't know if that was a germ but it's a memory from long ago that I often come back to, and I go, and we sit and edit at my house, and sometimes I'm sitting here editing. We're editing a film called Upload at the moment, which is a bunch of young people from Glasgow. I've been working with an organisation called Peak. They hired a screenwriter to write the story to do the screenplay of the story that the young persons wanted to tell. Mm-hmm. It's about cyberbullying. So we as Relentless Film Collective went and filmed it. And so we're sitting here in my house editing away at this thing, and I sometimes go, man, what? Hang on, this is... I'm getting paid to sit at home working with a guy editing a film, and that's what I'm doing, and that is my occupation at the moment. I think I love to be occupied. and
Cool.
I can be occupied with quite a lot of crap, but or inanities, not. But when you're making a choice between which take to use and when to chop it in and when to come out of it, and there's so many choices to make in a film. It's magic, and sometimes there's no choices because you've only got one choice, so you have to use that. And then your in and out points are the only sort of thing that you can influence it. So, yeah, and in terms of my other work, I have played electric bass with Portobello Ceilidh Band since February 1989, since the 20th century.
So you talked about choices there.
Yeah.
When did you make the choice to go and be basically a musician and an actor? So you were born in Orkney, but then you moved up and grew up in Shetland.
Yeah.
So at what point did you leave Shetland and head for, I guess, mainland Scotland? When did that happen? And was it a specific choice to go and be a performer, or what was happening then?
I had been playing music in Shetland already, and various different bands, and wanted the big stage, wanted to play Glastonbury, wanted to be the Beatles, wanted to be the Rolling Stones, wanted to be Jimi Hendrix, and blah de blah. And we had been celebrating Old Christmas up in Harleswick and Unst.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd been mucking around at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to make snowballs travel in slow motion, arrive in slow motion. And, whichever way you try it, it doesn't work.
That's a worthwhile
throw them in
pursuit.
slow
That's
motion.
Fantastic.
You can't take them in the face in slow motion.
But you tried.
But we tried hard, yeah. And we were mucking around and, kind of playing characters from scenes from film. I think 48 Hours was out at that time. And and so we were just mucking around with that for a long time at 3 o'clock in the morning in 6 inches of snow on Old Christmas, which I think is the 6th of January. And so the next morning on the 7th, I got up and I said to Joan Rich, where I was staying at the time, I said, I think I want to be an actor. And she said, well, go ahead. And I went, oh, I see. Okay, great. And
permission.
By that, yeah, well, something like that, yeah, just an acknowledgement of an idea, possibly. And I probably I had stated it before, actually. That's not true. I had stated it before. I said to my careers advisor when I was going into third year, so I was moving from mid-Yale Junior High School up to Anderson High School, because the range of subjects was different. And I said to my careers advisor, I said, I think I want to be an actor. And he went, well, difficult job. What else?
Thanks for the encouragement.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So is that the idea? Do you think that's the idea?
The idea
sorry,
of
go on.
Doing that, of pursuing something like that, had been around and in the head. And there's acting in the genes. My Auntie Sandra Vaux, is very well-known actress or actor. I think it's okay to use the singular term actor to describe male or female, but I wouldn't promise that. So Auntie Sandra's an actor, and so I guess to a certain extent I'd seen people do it and realised it was a real thing and it was possible. And so by the end of the day, after I'd said I think I want to be an actor, and she said, well, go ahead, I had application forms winging their way from Edinburgh so that I could fill them in and do it. Now that might sound straightforward, but anyway, that was the choice. And I left Shetland on the 21st of April, I think, on the Old Clare. Don't know if you remember the Old Clare.
I do. Great boat. Good sea boat.
Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely.
Things have gone backwards there for some reason, but never mind. Let's not go into that.
So that was the choice, and then I went and did it. And I went to audition at college. Man, I was not green. What is the greenest thing you can describe? Broccoli, green as a cabbage, green as I don't know what. Utterly useless. But with a lot of commitment and enthusiasm, and I was unsuccessful getting into college at that time. That was 1988. I did get in 1992. In the interim, I'd done puppet shows with a company called Pictish Puppets, and also went back to Shetland. I was very fortunate to meet Kenny Johnson, who runs Skeenbow Fiddles, and I actually went along to his shop. He had a shop in Edinburgh, just up for the King's Theatre at the time, and I actually went along to say, could you sell my bass and bass amp, which was getting shipped down from Shetland. It was my singular asset, and when in a time of need of turnover of all that, I thought I can turn over by putting these things on the market and thingy. So I went into Kenny. I said, "Boy, can you sell me bass and bass amp?" And he said, "Well, can you play it?" And I said, "Well, yeah." And he said, "Well, go and play it then."
Good man.
Good man. Very good man. And as it happened, he was playing guitar for Portobello Ceilidh Band at that time, and he needed to go to a party on the 25th of August, 1988, and he asked me to step into the breach and play guitar with Portobello Ceilidh Band, which I did, as a consequence of which they asked me to come and play with them, or audition to play the bass with them in February the next year, and that was and that's when I joined the band, and so I've been with them 28 years now.
That is fantastic. What a great story. What a super way to... So you would try to sell something just to make enough money to make ends meet in the early days, and in the course of that, you meet this other Shetlander in Edinburgh who basically challenges you to go and play use the asset you've already got rather than sell the asset you've got.
Exactly.
And he even had an opportunity for that. Is fantastic.
Isn't it?
It's brilliant.
It's cool. It's difficult to, because when you're living it, you kind of go, oh yeah, right, okay. This is my. You don't judge it, sort of from an outside perspective.
And that couldn't have happened today. Do you know why?
No.
eBay.
Yeah.
You'd have just sold that guitar on eBay, and you'd never have met the guy. You'd never have gone in, would you?
Well, I mean, I would have met the guy, and he was a Shetlander, and I knew I ended up working at his shop as well.
So it might have happened anyway.
With JJ, who recommended to Adam that he contact me for this interview.
Cool.
JJ Jameson, and then of course Adam contacts you and says, "Here's this guy."
What was that shop? What was it called?
It was called Kenny Johnson Acoustics. It was at Gillespie Crescent. It's now, I believe, I think it's a patisserie or something like that, a bakery, something. I'm not certain.
Is Kenny not around anymore?
Kenny still works in Shetland, making Skeenbow fiddles.
Cool.
The electric fiddles.
Can I rewind to when you made that choice to head off from Shetland, though? Was your mum and dad still around? So your dad was a reverend, is that right?
Yeah, he still gets a gig in Shetland. Gig, obviously, in the church. But
that sounds entertaining.
Sorry?
That sounds entertaining. He's gigging in the church.
He still gets a shift in the pulpit.
Brilliant. So what was his and your mother's thoughts on your choice? That was what I was wondering.
They have always had a very sort of open idea, and the common line that is very familiar is, well, we'll just have to hope it all works out. Mm-hmm. We'll just hit a hoop. And it's, I think it's one of the things that you get from being in a religious, organised religion is hope. That idea of hope. I don't think you need to be in organised religion to have hope, but I think potentially it's different currency in organised religion, and potentially it's extremely important at this in the current times, the way things are at the moment. So there was no sort of debate about should you, shouldn't you, because my family, my mum's father, started selling fish from a sidecar when he was 17 in 1920 something, and that went on to become a very highly successful business, employing hundreds of people probably, and at its peak it's no longer particularly a big employer. And so I went to work there after school. I did my work experience in the office in 1982, I think it was, for 4 weeks as a tryout. And when I left school the next year, I went straight into the office, straight into the family business, and worked in lots of different departments, and then left for rock and roll, and then went back because rock and roll didn't pay me any money, and then left to be a printer, and then went back because the printing didn't pay me any money, and I was going to Edinburgh to be an actor.
So the hope thing,
yep,
probably it's handy as an actor, musician as well, isn't it? Never mind in religion.
It's handy, yeah, but I think I probably have a more, I don't know what you would call it. I learned this wonderful idea from, I can't even remember his name now. Anyway, the crux of it is two words. The first word is attitude, the second word is integrity. And so the other thing I've learned about, because I've done we used to sell management development. I set up a role play training company. We ran Pictish puppets. We do films. Through the management development side of it, I learned a whole lot about setting objectives. And so objective is a thing I come back to time and time again. And it's brilliant when you're editing. You go, don't know which one to use, don't know which choice to make. And then, so if you can rail back to what's the objective and realise that the objective always, potentially, is to use moving image to tell the story in the best way. So moving image, that gives you a palette, doesn't it? That gives you sound, it gives you image, it gives you blah-de-blah, it gives you anything that you would use to tell a story using moving image is what you can use to tell a story using moving image, depending on your restrictions of a particular given time. And so the objective usually is to find the best way to tell the story using moving image.
So what's the project at the moment? What are you working on just now that you're using objective with?
Upload the story with the young people from Glasgow. Yeah. We had to go and reshoot a very important scene and sequence from it, and so we were month and a half, 2 months in between original shoot and or more than that even, and so we kind of assumed that we would have to use all of the second shoot to edit the sequence, to edit the scene. But as it transpires, we could drop in quite a lot of the first shoot as well. And it was a difficult call to go and reshoot the sequence because it's a funeral. So the buyers felt there weren't enough mourners in the first time we shot it. And so you're kind of going, why do I have a clump of hair in my hand? Why do I have a clump of hair? I have more hair in my hand. I have more, until eventually you go, yeah, okay, we'll go, yeah, great. Get the mourners, we'll come and shoot it, no problem. Okay, let's do that. And it transpired it's for the best because there was more mourners and it looks more like an authentic funeral, and you could see the spaces in the first time we did it.
Just maybe not as popular a person as the buyers were thinking. Maybe, I mean, not everyone can have a busy funeral.
No, it's supposed to be a young person's funeral as well, though, and so a young person's funeral.
I didn't have that many friends. I didn't have that many friends at school. Let's not go there, though, Robert. This could become a therapy session.
You'd be all right now, though.
Well, I would hope I would have more than the number I would have had when I was at school. I had a question for you about Shetland, actually, as we're going back there in my head. Do you have a shoot there? Have you been up there to film anything? And do you ever plan to go back and film things there?
Yeah, well, I have. 2008, I think it was, 7 or 8, I kind of had a notion, let's do some documentary thing. No documentary. And had often heard about Thomas Fraser, who was a Burra fisherman, crofter and musician who recorded his own versions of American country blues and folk tunes, because my uncle Eday Williamson had learned from Thomas. He used to row his little punt from Scalama to Burra, and Thomas would teach him chords and teach him how to different things about music. So I was kind of aware of the Thomas Fraser Memorial Concert, which was established in 2001. And so I decided that I was going to try and make a documentary. And other people had said, oh, that's a good story. And I knew people in film with the Shetland connections. Thomas also had a Fuller connection, which could you see it for Papastua?
Oh, yeah, on a good day.
Aye. Oh. But, so I put together a proposal. A good friend of mine, his sister worked as a documentary maker for Channel 4 and has done lots of award-winning documentaries. I asked her very politely if I could possibly send her a one-page proposal, a one-page pitch for this documentary, and she agreed to have a look at it. She said, you need to change the first paragraph, but apart from that, it looks pretty good, and get on with it. So I sent it to a director who liked it. We had a chat. We decided the soundtrack would be covered. He sent it to a producer that he'd worked with before. The producer liked it, developed the proposal further, sent it to the commissioning editor at BBC Scotland, and we got 35 grand to go and make Shetland Lone Star.
Nice one.
Which, yeah. So, yeah, it was a real thrill to come up to Shetland and shoot. I was the driver. I was hired as the driver and whatever else that requires, first AD, runner, tea maker, sandwich getter, whatever it takes, which for me it comes standard as my attitude, whatever it takes. If you want, I remember getting told off in a theatre because an actor had to help carry a ladder, and I thought, what? But what's the problem?
Yeah.
And why would an actor not carry a ladder? Well, maybe there's a health and safety thing. No. It's because the actor has had to act. The people who are hired to carry ladders are hired to carry ladders. Actors don't carry ladders. Oh my God.
Darling.
Ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. Anyway, I'm still great friends with her, and we play music. But anyway, where did I go? Shetland Lone Star. So Shetland Lone Star got made in 2008, and going up to Shetland to shoot, you're on Mel Beach, filming, I think they were doing stills, they were doing stop motion, and you're watching this net coming, there's wind coming in from the Atlantic at some ferocious speed, down on the beach, hoods flapping around like idiots, and you go, it's quite windy. Yeah, it's quite windy. Yeah, really, it is actually quite windy. Yeah. No, but this is good because we can see the wind in the thing. You say, yeah, just hurry up and shoot there. Gee, So, but that was totally magic, and we spent a goodly number of days on Burra and interviewing people. And
where can people see that? Where can people see that piece of film?
I don't know what it was broadcast on BBC twice.
Okay.
And BBC Two, Scotland. It is available on various outlets online. I believe that you can get it on Amazon, and you can probably get it on eBay. I haven't looked recently. I've seen it. And actually, if you do buy the DVD, what you get is 75 minutes of concert footage from the 2008 Thomas Fraser Memorial Festival. You get behind-the-scenes stuff that wasn't included in the film itself, because the film is constrained to a 30-minute slot for broadcast. You get a great interview with the way that the Thomas original reel-to-reel tapes had to be converted meant that when they had to be converted from analog to digital, and in the process of doing that, all of the oxides on the tape, once it went through the player, it fell off, and that was it, lost, gone for good. So there was a great expert who had done work on Robert Johnson tapes and loads and loads of very old, very delicate tapes to restore them to a digital format. And so there's a long interview with him about how he proceeded with that and what he had to do, and the trauma of hit record on the digital, hit play, and watching this oxides fall off of the tape and go, I just hope I've got it.
One chance.
I just hope I've got one chance. Yeah, literally one chance. Yeah. Which is one of the things I love about filmmaking. When you've got one chance, you've got one chance.
Yeah.
And so practice in a way that you don't get a chance to practice for life, but actually you can rehearse what you want to do, and then if you take the attitude that you operate with integrity and you go out and you act as if you're totally confident, bang, you get what you want.
That's a pretty strong ending for our conversation, I reckon. We're not going to hit a higher note than that, Robert. That was a cracking last line. Where can people connect with you and maybe see the band? You mentioned the Cayley band. Where can people connect with you or find that band?
So Portobello Cayley Band is on Twitter. If you just search in Twitter for Portobello Cayley Band, it should pop up. If you look on YouTube, there are various videos, including one of us playing at George Street in 2007, George Street in Edinburgh. The Jarl squad quite often were part of it, but the bit that we did was playing on a huge stage, like a Glastonbury stage, outside the assembly rooms. You could not see the end. You couldn't see street at all for dancers.
Yeah,
we had 5,000 dancers all doing an Orkney Strip the Willow.
Yeah,
and you can't see the edge of the street. You can't see any pavement at all. So there's a short clip of that on YouTube as well. That's Portobello Cayley Band. I'm on YouTube. Twitter is really kind of my main outlet. There's something I learned from a guy called Jeff Olson, where he says the best thing you can do is show up. If you don't show up, how are you going to do? How is anything going to happen? If you show up, you show up. So for me on Twitter, it's really easy. I go in, I look at my feed. I go, is that interesting? Yes, it is. Bang, send it out there, and then I switch Twitter off. Because if you were looking at it, I would go insane. Anybody could go. You would just go completely mental because there's so much on it. It's so much. So I go in like a ninja, hit that, retweet, bang. I'm on the timeline.
And you've shown up. I like that.
I've shown up.
Thank you for showing up today. Do you follow, just out of interest, you mentioned Twitter, do you follow the guys at Shetland Janitorial?
No, but I will now.
Because I'm I'm on a mission to get them even more followers because they're funny, they're good, and they were recommended to me by someone else who's been on the podcast, Anne Cleves, the author of the Shetland books and everything.
Sure.
She loves them because I asked her, and she personally recommended them and said they were a funny Twitter handle, and they are. So there's some wisdom in that, or some wit at that company. Now I don't know who actually runs a Twitter account, but I will get to the bottom of it, and I need to get them on the show. So,
well, if you see Anne Cleves again, let her know about this podcast, and if she thinks that I should be in the series that has been produced from her books, get her to influence whoever it takes.
Good man.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. And my favourite expression, if you don't ask, people can't say yes.
That is a beautiful development on if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah, I can't claim it as my own. I think it might have been a Peter Thompson-ism. But anyway, thank you for coming on the show.
It's yours now.
It is mine
and
for today.
It's mine.
Thanks for coming on the show. And
Not
anyone listening, get yourself to the shetlandtimes.co.uk or the Facebook page. Suggest other people you'd like us to interview. Feel free to feedback to me on my Twitter handle, @ThorHolt. I've tweeted out the link to our man on the show today, Robert, and his very amusing show reel. Also, you can feedback to me at my own site, which is just myname.com, thorholt.com. See you next time. There's more, folks. Don't go away. Robert and I carried on discussing, and I had to put record on again because he had something interesting to say.
But anyway, I was out in Berlin 2 weeks ago at the had to go to Berlin to watch the film at the Berlin Independent Film Festival, and
what's the name of the film again?
Feet in Shadow.
Feet in Shadow.
Seat. So it's like sitting in the shadow of. Yeah, I find it could have a different title, perhaps. Seat in Shadow. 3 words. Yeah, like sitting in the shadow of greatness. So we had to go to Berlin and watch it. As it happens, we won the best feature in the micro-budget category, which is under $100,000. I'm going to Hawick to see it tonight as part of the Alchemy Film Festival and to do a Q&A with the main actor, David Sellers, who is also co-writer, because the producer and director are unavailable because they've had to go to San Jose in California to see it on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Hard life. So
hard life. We're playing in Amsterdam on Sunday as well. We played at the Mardi Gras Festival in Sydney on the 24th of February or something like that. And it hasn't started. It's only started running its course. And it's winning awards, and it's extraordinary, and I love it.
And do you play an edgy character in it by any chance?
I play a Cockney bouncer, yeah.
Go on then, give us a burst of Cockney. Can you remember anything from the movie, any of your lines, or was it too long ago?
No, I've got some memory. He talks about the main character is a psychotherapist who's helping a young lad who's confused about his life and sexuality and difficulties and all that. So they go to a club, and this psychotherapist, who's also a Tibetan monk, wants to go with his cheese plant. So he comes with his cheese plant, and the bouncer goes, "Sorry, Gandhi, no flip-flops." And the guy goes, "These are not flip-flops, these are Tibetan mules, actually. I don't care what they are. You're not coming into my fucking club with no fucking cheese plant, all right?"
I did say this was an 18-rated episode, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.